You guys are on.
I even forgot what our music sounds like. Yeah. I just like to pretend that it's on and shit. You know what I'm saying?
It's a pretty sick
video.
video.
What I'm saying? You know
Honestly,
what I'm
I think that's where we peaked.
Yeah. We're rolling, right?
Yeah, we're rolling. We're live. We're live over there.
Here we are.
Here we're recording.
Face.
Yeah.
In your face.
Nice.
In
Welcome to the
living
Speaking of Your
color.
Podcast.
Oh, that probably helps.
God said, let
That's
there be
cool.
light.
That's cool.
I like
Gotta
it.
let's make the white guy look whiter.
I look better in the dark, but whatever.
She
My name is
does.
Joshua Mulder, a.k.a. Your Vanilla Gorilla, Walter Reyes, Panda Bear, Tony, Sarah, Batman.
That's me.
I just touched your microphone. Sorry.
I know, it's all right. It's all right. I hope you didn't wash your hands because I need bacteria so I stay healthy.
Yeah, after the show, we're going to spit in each other's mouth.
That'd be great.
To build immunities.
Yeah. It's not weird. It's just so we don't get sick.
Dan's over there looking at us like, oh, spit in my mouth.
Yeah.
Y'all want to spit in my mouth?
We already got a nice buildup of spit every time you talk. Dan, we appreciate you and everything you do for the
Cheers
show.
to Dan.
To
Cheers to Dan.
Love you, Dan.
Love you, Dan. You do much. You do a lot.
Yes.
A lot of stuff.
Love you, Mario. Copy true love.
Oh shit, we're getting bombed on. Oh shit.
So this week, not
Ed.
unlike last
Ed,
week,
I don't know.
we're going to be talking to Tony. Last week was Walter. We had a really in-depth conversation. This week it's Tony. It's all about you. I don't know if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
This is part 2
We know you're a
of a 3-part
humble
series.
person.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Super humble.
I know you don't like to talk about yourself.
Not at all.
About how, amazing you are.
Mm.
But, this is what we're going to talk about. I, first off, would like to start saying you're awesome. Thank you for being such a good friend.
Thank you.
I concur with that sentiment.
Just trying not to...
It's very rare when you could connect with someone that boned your ex-girlfriend. And we have that commonality, that
Eskimo brothers.
Is that what it's called?
Yes,
we're Eskimo brothers.
Yeah.
And I love this dude. He's a cool guy, super creative, keeps it real. There's a couple things that, and I'm gonna address them that I want to, talk about that you make me go a little bit about. But yeah, man, I love that we partnered up and doing this and this little 3-part series that we're doing, being hosted by our boy Josh. He won't be able to host the next one because he'll be the victim next time.
Did you count if we're Eskimo brothers if I've had sex with all your girlfriends in my head?
Virtual Eskimo brothers,
Yeah,
maybe?
just in my head.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
I just
fine.
want to know.
I would expect you to.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
isn't that normal? Isn't that totally normal?
Yeah, it's normal.
You could that includes girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, maybe some moms.
Yeah. Oh,
definitely. Oh shit! Of course you bet. He's definitely fantasized about my mom.
No,
He hugs her too tight.
Yeah.
You hug her too tight.
I've always wondered what your girlfriend's boobs look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really nice. You know what's so funny? I wouldn't call myself a boob man, but all the girls I did have really nice boobs.
Nice.
I'm a butt dude, but super nice boobs.
You won the tit lottery.
Yeah. I usually come up on the tit lottery.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that ass. But anyways, man, let's get this show on the road. Today, in honor of our boy Tony, who is a bartender, very good fucking bartender, we're drinking this classy drink called Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
That's your favorite. Explain how the fuck that happened.
It's very difficult to make. You have to have the right balance. Now, see, what you do is you fill your glass up
Very difficult
with
to
ice to about right here. For those right here, zoom in. You don't need to zoom in. And then you're going to put the whiskey to that same level. And then the Coke,
It'd be nice
you're
if
just
you did
going
zoom
to
in,
do
though.
it for color. Just a little, And that's the perfect Jack and Coke.
That ain't right.
Right, yeah. Our black, we did our obligatory black episode a couple weeks ago. We're good.
We're
for
good.
at least 8 more weeks. No, Jack and Coke, I don't know. When I was younger, my first alcoholic beverage that I touted around in a backpack was Mountain Dew and Alizé.
That sounds...
That's so crazy sounding.
I would carry around a backpack with Mountain Dew and a bottle of Red Passion Alizé, thinking that this was the best drink in the world. Later I realized that Alizé is a liqueur that's, I think, 14% or something?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's pretty fucking
It's like
low.
having Coke and Grand Marnier.
You're drinking sugar.
Yeah.
But it was so good. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's why you like Mountain Dew.
Well, I like Mountain Dew before that. It was just the best thing to mix it with, so it worked out.
How's your level of alcoholism? Because that sounds like if you're carrying a backpack with alcohol, that's a significant level of alcohol. How does that compare to now? Are you calmed down? You still
I'd say it's worse now, honestly. Because back then I was a kid, like a teenager, sorry, like 17, 18. So the backpack was like, it's not just for me. It's just we're going to a party, we're going out.
All right.
So
I just imagine you going to school with some fucking
No.
in your backpack. Like that's
How old were you?
I started drinking like
regularly,
like 17, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was 14 chugging beers in the backyard or anything like that.
Right.
Relatively late bloomer compared to a lot of other people. But it was always kind of monitored. My parents knew. I told them, like, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. I did that for safety. So if I ever got in trouble, I could just call my mom and say, this is where I'm at.
That way they wouldn't be, like,
Yeah.
completely surprised.
And it has happened many times where I called my mom and said, this is where I'm at. And she has come. In fact, there was a ditching party. We were, I think, 17, 18, probably senior year. And everyone decided to ditch. I lived next to my friend Josh. And when I say everyone, in Bellflower, there's 2 high schools. I went to both of them, but I ended up graduating from Mayfair, which is a slightly whiter school, right?
Ooh, Mayfair.
Yeah. Well, I knew all of my friends were from Bellflower High, so that's who I hung out with the most. I lived next door to Josh, who was from Bellflower High, and we decided to have a ditching party. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was next door, and I said, Mom, I'm just letting you know right now, I'm not going to school. I'm going to go to Josh's, and we're going to have a little party. Nothing crazy, but we'll be there. So I walk in. There's 2 bud plants on the table. There's a spread of High Times and Playboy magazines on the table. There's condoms thrown around. No one got laid that day. And it was and then people were there. Everyone was cool. And then out of nowhere, security from Mayfair and the cops showed up at the house.
Oh, shit.
At like 11 o'clock. Someone ratted us out because they didn't get invited.
Oh, haters gonna hate.
Carson, white boy.
Yeah.
So the cops usher everyone to the backyard. Everyone. There's like it's not a lot. There's like 30 heads sitting in a small ass backyard of a condo, chilling, and a cop's like, everyone sit down, no one say a word. So I get my little flip phone, flip it open, and I call my mom, and I put it to my ear, and the cop's like, hey, get off the phone. I'm like, Mom, popos, and I hang up. That's all that I said. I remember this so vividly because she came with Ivan, my little brother, who was a baby at the time. She came into the house, walked to the backyard, told the cop, this is my son. He came over here because he was checking on the noise. I'm taking him home. Yeah.
Mama's gangster.
She walked back outside. She grabbed the 2 bud plants. She put them in the dryer of Josh's house and then went home. So he didn't get in trouble. There was no possession charges or anything like that. It was just, he didn't go to school. Tardy. Everyone got a ticket apparently for truancy. And one of my friends, Crystal, was all like, I'm his sister, was trying to, and my mom wasn't having it. But
Bitch, I don't even know his daughter.
Yeah, but so the drinking thing, it wasn't like, it wasn't an issue until maybe like 3 to 4 years ago. And it was only an issue because of, the consequences that follow drinking when you do it and you shouldn't. Which I'm sure.
Let's just talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
Drinking has a lot of consequences. I, unfortunately have 2 DUIs. I still say it's the best thing that ever happened to me. The first one was just too much fun. I had fun with the cops. I was in jail for like 3 or 4 hours. I never saw the court. I had a judge. I had a lawyer who represented me, and it was just minimal consequence. Second one, by the way, thanks. This guy right here got me out. It's just that was the life lesson. That was the wake up call. When I look back of how many people I could have killed, how many people in my car, myself. There's fucking. I won't even say how many, just in case this is public record and it comes back to haunt me. But there's who knows how many times where I don't remember the road home. I don't remember transferring freeways or I just don't remember. Oh shit, I made it home. There's times I remember waking up in my own room going, oh shit, I'm in my house. All right, cool, awesome. That's fucking bad.
Yeah.
And luckily I never killed anybody. All I did was just, all I did. Not good, but I broke my mom's heart. Gave her a nice diet for 3 weeks because she wouldn't eat. And I was miserable. And I got super pale. That was the worst part, I guess. Because I was in jail for 3 weeks. What was that consequence that you just described right now? What happened with you 4 years ago?
Okay, so we went to a bar that was relatively close to home, Shipmates. Okay. And
one of my favorites.
Funny enough, when I was driving, I was distracted, and I did a little bit of a sharp turn, and a cop was behind me. Thank you. I blame makeup. So they pulled me over. When I was younger, I did a lot of, I don't want to say stupid things, but just things that didn't make sense. I got a ticket for a front license plate that was a Batman emblem, and it was supposed to be a real license plate. I got a ticket for that. I got a ticket for dropping my little brothers off in the middle of the street in front of school. Okay.
So you didn't pull over?
Yeah, no.
Stop?
They were late and they wanted to get out. Yeah, why not? Everyone slowed down. Yeah, it was their idea. Anyways,
That's their responsibility.
after getting these tickets, I mean, that was just kind of it. Put them in a little drawer and just walk away, right?
Yeah.
I'm letting you know now, if you don't know this, those tickets turn into warrants, okay?
I know that.
Yeah.
I
And
think we've all been to jail for
Yeah.
warrants.
And you know, what's funny is I'm not saying that I hide this, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know this. But it was in November of 2016, so it wasn't that long ago.
it wasn't. No.
Yeah. And I got pulled over, and the cop was training another cop. And he said, look, honestly, like, I'd probably let you go, but I'm training someone. Like, told me straight up. He's like, that's not training. So I went to jail that night. I got locked up. And typically what they do is they let you sober up. They let you out in the morning and you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't get released in the morning. Officer came and said, you'll be out soon. You know, your parents are here to pick something up, blah, blah, blah. And then an entire day later, they say that you have warrants in Orange County and they want you. So we're going to hold you and then we're going to transfer you over there. Next thing you know, I'm on a bus on my way to Twin Towers. I'm in, jail. Like, not just holding cell jail, but jail.
You in
And
jail.
yeah, right. Hold your
Jail.
ankles.
Yeah.
And then while there, no answers. No one was willing to say anything. My parents were trying to figure out shit on the outside. And what they had said was they're holding you until they can transfer you to Orange County, and then you'll spend some days in Orange County, and then you'll be released. So 6 days later, I was not transferred. And the thing...
Right, 24, bro.
Yeah. You know, what I found most interesting, I mean, when you get past the idea that you either learned a lesson or you didn't, in this particular environment, you start to worry about important things like your job, how you're making your parents feel. And then me personally, I'm not saying anyone else, but I started looking around and looking at the environment that I was in. And I got really sad, not because I felt like I was holier than thou and like I didn't belong or anything like that. It wasn't like I don't belong here, I'm not like you guys.
Mm.
But it was just the idea that a majority of these people in jail fell right in line with the stereotype of being in jail.
Yep.
And it was kind of sad because people were like high-fiving another person who had just been released and then came back. Like,
oh shit, what's up?
Yeah, you're back already? Like, and it just baffled me. And then it made me feel like, well, idiot, if you leave jail and you drive again drunk, you're going to be right back. And you might be clapping hands with people too. The background that I come from automatically means that like I'm protected to a certain degree, right? Because of the name value. But my family, my familial background of gang members, they're older now. So like they don't have pool anymore. Like it's a whole new world. Like it's all kids. I mean, kids to us.
Yeah.
So I just, I kept my mouth shut, but it was just it was sad mostly because of, the own personal reasons, but also because of the reality, like in this place, I mean, if I had to put a number on it, it'd be a good, like maybe 90% of people who are like, this is life. There's no...
Because when I was in there, I got that sense of it was so normal to them.
Mm-hmm.
And you were actually a super minority in there.
Oh,
Did you feel that aspect of it, like on your end? Because I mean,
we
we
normal, like nonchalant, like this is life, like this is just how it is, like
the structure, their rules, like okay, this is how it works, guys. Blah blah. Just don't fuck that up, and we're good. Otherwise, there's consequences, and it's like really easy rules to follow. Just fucking follow them, But to me, that normalcy, that was not normal to me.
Yeah.
And I had to make it seem normal. Like I had to be like, all right, get it, no worries.
And
cool.
the distinctive racial divide was very apparent as well.
Isn't it funny though? Like there's a couple of racial divides that humored the fuck out of me. One is like if you're Asian, you're black.
Yeah,
that shit's hilarious to me. Cracked me the fuck. I was like, oh, that's so you're black. I was like,
They
oh
don't know
shit.
like kung fu, so they're like, yeah, we want them.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
We want them.
That's because there's like one
I
or
blame
two.
I blame Wu-Tang.
You know, probably.
Yeah.
And then the Latino side, there's so many of us that they separate us within
Yeah,
ourselves.
you're splitting too.
You're either like paisa or you're, you know, a normal Latino.
Yeah, you know a little bit of Spanish.
Yeah,
Just enough to get by.
You know, more, mainly English than Spanish.
Yeah.
And you're on this side. You're paisa. You wear fucking ostrich boots. You go over here.
And you sing in the middle of the night. Yeah. It's more than a step back of humanity. It's numerous steps back. And we're not going to make this whole show about, you know, fixing the prison system or even the jail system, but it was just really...
I wouldn't want to even spend time on that. I would want to spend time on, like, don't fucking end up in jail.
Yeah.
The shit you should do not to end up in jail.
That's the main point.
That's the main point. Not like, oh, you know, if you...
like, how people, like, for example, like, you know, my dad went to prison for several years, but then there's, like, people who are, like, rapists and molesters and get, like,
months.
less than a year or months.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
That whole shit's whack. It's just whack.
But yeah, that was my experience. I mean, again, the reason why it was brought up mainly is I don't really talk about it, you know? Not because I'm afraid to, maybe a little bit of embarrassment, but mainly because that doesn't define me. That doesn't, you know, make me the person.
I think that's why you should talk about it more, because it's helpful.
Yeah.
I think it's a chapter, like, I shouldn't be, but I'm proud of everything that's happened to me because I'm proud of who I am now, you know, and kind of talking about that. I'm glad that's the little segue. One of my questions to you is, you know, I know you, 7 years now, somewhere around there, like 6, 7 years.
Probably, yeah.
It feels like a little bit more, but I want to ask you where you're at in your evolution compared to when we first met to now. Where's your mindset? Where's your heart at? Where's your soul at? Where are you in your own personal evolution 6 years ago to now?
Okay, so 6 years ago, I think I was just about to go back to college. And that was a choice that was made because of the whole, I mean, we've talked about it before. The real estate market was crashing. I had a job in that market, and I just wasn't happy. It was mainly get up and go and just do it because you make money. Because I made money, right? But there was no value to it. So in 1 week, I lost my job, my girlfriend, and my car. Got in a car accident. The girl that I was talking to decided we weren't working. And then I lost my job. I got laid off. It was a loan company, right? And I had a choice. I talked to my parents. And the choice was either you wallow in this self-pity, you know, that, you know, will not get you anywhere.
It's one of my favorite choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you know, choose something else, right? And my parents, they've always told me since I was younger, like, you can live here as long as you either A, have a job and contribute, or B, go to school. And I've always been good at school, you know, always. It's just bothered me. It's just like, the whole idea of like a mass amount of people following one person just kind of weirded me out.
Our school system is whack.
So I decided to go back to school. And while I was in that arena, I fell fully in love with not only writing, but the reality that I can write. And that was not realized. Most people, I've been wanting to be a writer since I was like 4. I used to write stories and sell them. Stephen King used to write little stories and staple them together and sell them for $0.25.
Yeah.
That was not me. I thought every single person in this world could write. People are just lazy. You know, everyone has the capability of doing so. People are lazy. It wasn't until I got to college where I realized that, no, people really suck at it. Mm-hmm. Just like I suck at drawing. You know, it doesn't make me a better person. It simply means that this is a talent. It's not something you're raised with or you learn at school. I think you could learn how to write correctly, but you can't learn how to write, you know, vividly or, you know, to pull emotions from people, you know. So learning that I had that talent and harnessing that talent into something that was beneficial not just to me but to my peers at the college level became the most important thing in the world to me. Like, I was the president of the English club at a city college.
Nerd.
That means, yeah, exactly. That means nothing, but it meant so much to me. Yeah. Like, it meant that
See, I think I just call you out of that because you don't come off like that, you know?
Right.
Which is what the power of education can do. It can shift your mind. Dude.
Yeah, it did. And it allowed, I mean, I had people remember, me in college, 6 years removed from graduating, I was older than everyone.
Yeah.
And as the oldest of 6 in the familial household, and then going to the college level and being older than everyone, it just fit. It just made sense.
Yeah.
So here I am guiding a whole bunch of people on the proper direction, whichever direction they may go, and being that person that they looked up to. It just made sense. I went to, I graduated community college, not graduated, but transferred to Cal State Long Beach, got my 2 degrees there, and that progression of writing was basically the biggest evolution, right? And then when I got to the realization that I needed money, bartending it just made sense. And so right now, I'd say that I'm still writing very vigorously. Like it's ingrained in my life.
And you're working on a habit right now, right? Are you still doing your daily poems?
Well, I did that for the month of April.
Okay.
Okay, that was a test.
Is that over?
It is over. It was a test for me to make sure that I could do it, but it was also a test for me to dive deeper into my own personal emotions. Most of my poetry is humorous, or not political, but based on society, what they do and what I look at the bigger picture and how I feel about it. But almost all of them are funny or have some random punchline. April, I spent the entire month looking internally and asking myself, what have I not written about? What have I not talked about? I wrote a poem about my mom. I wrote a poem about my stepdad. I wrote a poem about, the emotions of, just internal reflection, as opposed to me just talking about like, how racist America is, or
This is America.
Yeah, right, amazing.
Fucking love that. Have you seen it?
What?
Childish Gambino, This is America.
It's beautiful.
What?
It's a beautiful
Art.
video. Yeah,
Art.
it's amazing.
You gotta
A
watch it.
music video?
Yeah.
Music video. The one where we saw dancing around?
Yeah, and he shoots people.
I only saw a clip of it.
Oh, watch the whole thing, my boy. Art.
It's great. Yeah,
I started watching,
fantastic.
I was like, oh, scary.
watch it multiple times. Yeah,
I will. I like.
I listened
Yeah.
to it like 10 times today already.
he's great. So yeah, I'd say to answer the question about the evolution, it was from not writing at all to writing to realizing that I have a talent. And I'll never say Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote an entire piece on poetry, literally calling poets the vessel from God to humans.
I like that.
I don't fall into that line.
I like
Okay,
that.
I don't think that I am receiving words from God to share with the people.
But you see how easy, like, I easily, and I do this all the time.
Well, I don't think he means that literally.
Oh, he meant it.
Well,
Yeah, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Yeah,
so I just, even where I'm at mentally, God to me, when someone says God to me, I immediately translate it to what it means to me, which to me is like the high, because I'm all energy. To me, everything is energy based. So to me, when someone says God, is like, it's just the highest ball, the most energetic ball in the universe, whatever that is, wherever that source comes from, wherever it's coming from, that's where, to me, that's derived from. So when you said God, to me, it was just like energy, universe is speaking to you, and then you speak to us through your poetry.
right.
I agree with that sentiment, where you're grabbing this philosophy from wherever you're grabbing it from, this energy from wherever you're grabbing from, and you translate it, put it down on paper or type it out or whatever, and you let us have it.
Yeah.
Because some of the best shit in this world comes from that particular type of art. That written, freelance, freestyle, free-forming. Sometimes they're nerdy and they're very structured and fucking pentameter, whatever the fuck they do. But it always, I think it transcends whether you're a dumbass or you're very intellectual. Poetry does that, because that's what music is, right?
Yeah.
It's poetry.
Yeah.
And then they just put some beats behind it, but it's poetry. It truly transcends, and you could deliver some insane messages. We were just talking about This is America. I mean,
True.
That's poetry.
It is.
It's aggressive poetry. It's fucking raw as shit. And look at what it's doing. It's a fucking just took the whole country in a day or two. 25 million hits, this and that. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
The power of poetry. And he's speaking to us.
About, like, I've always wondered too, like, when did you realize, like, this is what I want to do, this is what my life is? Like, did you read something, or like, did you like watch something? Like, what is it you like?
Or is it part of this evolution that you're on?
It's definitely both. It was a part of the evolution for sure. But one specific moment, and this is a big shout out to Dr. Karen Rose, who teaches at LBCC. I wrote an essay, and I compared Jay Gatsby from The Great Gatsby to Jay-Z the rapper, and their rise rags to riches through nefarious means. Jay Gatsby was a bootlegger, although never specifically implied in the or said in the novel. Book. Not. It was pretty much implied that he was a bootlegger, and that's where a majority of his money came from. Jay-Z, as we well know, sold drugs, used that money to open up a studio, and then just create his empire. Mm-hmm. So the essay was based on the idea of loving something so much that you would do anything to get there. And it didn't mean that you were hurting anyone in the long run or that you were destroying the world at whole. People could make that argument. Whether it was bootlegging, you were selling alcohol.
But there's fact in that. Though.
Yeah.
There's fact in the bootlegging and there's fact in what Jay-Z did.
Exactly.
He slang crack.
Yep. And
to his own people and hurt and destroyed lives.
Right? So that was an integral part of the essay. But the idea was the idea of loving something. In Jay Gatsby's world, he loved Daisy, which was a horrible person to love. She was a horrible love interest, and yet we've all loved someone we shouldn't have. Jay-Z loved music, and that was his pushing. That was what made him push. And the essay, it was one of my favorites. It was at the time where I first started writing the hip-hop column, and it just made sense to me. While I was reading The Great Gatsby for like the 40th time, and it just worked. I wrote that essay, I turned it in, I submitted it, and the professor, she pushed me on a weekly basis to turn this into a contest. She said, you need to put this in there. It took, I think, like 2 full semesters before I even said, okay, I'll do it. I did some rough edits, sent it in. It ended up winning the contest.
Nice.
I got a cash prize and this little plaque that's still at LBCC, like a little name, of this. I got published, as well.
That's the only thing I've been published for poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that published too.
And it was because of that and her specifically, and I don't even know if she knows this much, but like the constant conversations that we had and the push that she gave was like, you're not, she said basically what Emerson said, like you need to write so that people can read what you write. Imagine you and your stories not having an audience. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Who are you writing for, Yeah. So that coupled with everyone else in that English department, because they're amazing. They seriously, they're
big
great.
Ups, Teachers Week.
Yeah.
By the time you see this video, it's not going to be Teachers Week.
But it's Teachers Week now.
It's Teachers Week right now when we're filming this.
And so that pushed it big time. And that was when I was like, that was, again, and this will be a reoccurring theme, people continuously telling me that I'm good at something to the point where I have to believe it. And then I hop on that.
You either brainwash yourself or someone brainwashes you.
Yeah, and I drive full. My foot is on the pedal. Like, if I'm good at something, I will tell you I am, which you guys know.
We know.
But also, I'll never stop practicing that craft. I'll never say I'm good.
I think that's good. Honestly, I like that about you. Like, it might come off as a little arrogant or whatever, but I think you kind of have to be that. And the same thing is when you do stand-up comedy, like, you can't, like, really doubt yourself. Like, you have to be like, I know I'm funny. I'm, like, hilarious.
You can't be like, I'm kind of funny.
You can't be like, I think I'm kind of funny.
Yeah.
Go funny.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
With that said, we'll be right back to part 2 of Tony Aceto at the Speakeasy Podcast. We'll be right back. Give it that cool edit, Dan.
Yeah. Can you make the screen spin? Like fucking General Zod?
Imagine I do like, shit, See, you need to do the countdown.
Yeah, and we're back.
I know, it sucks, man. Come on, that's why you're never going to be a director. You be behind the camera.
Welcome back. We're here with our guest, Tony.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Real quick, something very important. Cheers, whatever.
Oh, look, nice hair. That's what I do with my food.
That's all.
I don't trip out. If there's hair on my food, I'm like,
That's all whiskey, by the way.
Oh, really? I didn't put Coke on it? Oh, yeah.
You don't need Coke. You're diabetic. You're good.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's no sugar in whiskey, is there?
Oh, you guys talk about that Coke.
Okay, this is something, like, what is up with your obsession with Batman?
Oh, okay.
And why are you such a hater on Superman, even though he's better?
Okay,
anyway, we'll get to that.
There's a lot to unravel there. First of all,
Batman. What?
That's like fat vaginas unraveling and unraveling.
Or was it like which movie?
It wasn't a movie. It was a few comics, and then later the animated series.
You still have comics?
I do. Yeah, I have.
You still buy them?
I still buy them, and I have quite a bit.
We go to a comic book store together.
Yeah, we'll look great together.
I'll just stay home. Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're not like that.
It was the idea that when I was younger, I looked at Batman and I said to myself, "You could be him." Like, yeah, no, you can't
That's
be
not
Superman.
a mistake.
I mean, you're right. Technically,
The closest I am to Superman is being an illegal alien.
The closest we all are to any superhero is Batman.
I don't know. What about Tony Stark? He's just a regular guy. he's even more or less than Batman.
Yeah, that's true.
Batman went through shit. He went through training. Tony Stark was like, I'm just a fucking trillionaire. I'll make all this cool shit.
I just wasn't a Marvel guy, really. The only thing I liked about Marvel
he was just a marvelous guy.
Was X-Men, and that was purely because of the animated series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally not go shopping with you guys. This is so nerdy.
I get how people relate to that.
Yeah. But aside from that, it was just the idea that he was a bit more on the brooding side, a little bit darker, whereas Superman was, a little bit of a Boy Scout and might have
Speaking of dark,
a little bit.
Who's your favorite rapper? He's
here.
white. That's why I asked that. His favorite rapper is Eminem.
My favorite everything is Eminem. Okay.
How did you fall in love with Eminem? What about him besides the skill?
The poetry behind. If you were to print out any Eminem song and grab 4 different highlighters and just highlight every end rhyme, every in-verse rhyme, every metaphor, the entire page would be colorful. There would be like maybe 5 thes that didn't work.
His mom and
Especially when he talks about that. No, realistically, even at that level, you can't match his poetic devices behind it. And what baffles me the most is that this isn't a trained writer, and this goes in line with the idea that this is not something that's trainable. It's not something that you can get better through college. You can learn grammatical, working. You can learn structure of poetry, but that entire you made a joke about iambic pentameter. Every single time we talk, we have a particular level, okay? We don't end a sentence like this. That doesn't make sense unless you're trying to amplify that very last word.
I just scream.
Okay? Eminem raps how we talk to each other, and then he fucks with it, so you have to listen. He'll cut a word in half and start it over on the next line, or he'll cut it in half and just start with that second syllable on, so your ear phonetically has to listen to it. You're like, oh shit, what just happened? Because we talk at such a regular cadence that automatically we listen to each other. And it is part of the reason why, as a stand-up comic like you guys, certain jokes will be listened to better because of the way that you enunciate and the way that you portray that particular joke.
100%. When Willie Barcena talked to me about... Because I would go really hard in the beginning, and I wouldn't give you guys space to feel what just happened, gather your senses, and then be open to listening to what I'm setting up next.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that he addressed is this rhythm, right? Like this, You got to set the rhythm. You got to set it so that they have time to breathe, feel what they just cracked the fuck up about, and then be ready to listen to the next one.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. I wanted to kind of, that we're talking about poetry and all that stuff. Language is huge to me. The way you speak to someone, whether artistically, poetically, whatever the fuck. But the way you talk to women sometimes makes me go, irk. I don't know how the fuck you do it. I don't know how you just call these girls right in their faces hoes and they laugh. They don't get upset. They don't get fucking hurt. You call them sluts, hoes, this, that. I could never do that. That's just me. Let me get to the question. That's just me. I could never do that. When I hear you doing that, I'm like, if I didn't know you, I might want to thumb wrestle you or more.
Yeah. Well.
How? First of all, how do you do it? Do you genuinely feel comfortable about doing that, talking to women like that? And just that.
The idea behind it is that you automatically put a stigma and a negative connotation on the word hoe.
Yeah,
you automatically assume that because a woman is sexually advanced that she is a bad person, that she shouldn't be.
No, it's literally the term.
And I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying the society at large is saying like, oh, I don't sit there and say, oh, you're a hoe. Like, I'm never gonna put a girl down with.
No, you don't. You don't. You're like, oh, shut the fuck up.
It's like it's like accepting their sexual gratification and willing and able to be a part of that. It's saying, hey, I'm on your side. Let's fuck. I mean, realistically, because especially now, I mean, in the last 8 to 10 years, there's been a movement where why not? Guys are out there fucking whoever the hell they want, like left and right. why can't a woman do the same thing? And why is she...
You totally can, women.
You know, looked down upon for doing so? And why can't I be one of those many guys that you sleep with? Like,
that's still not... Okay, I guess for me, it's not the actual act. Like, it's not that. It's just you talking to women like that.
Yeah.
When you say it, it sounds like it's a term of endearment.
Well, there's a particular level. I never say it to someone I don't know.
Okay.
I don't put it out there as a...
That was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah, as
an
an insult. You know, it's never to like, oh, this is what you are. It's not derogatory. And I actually don't do it as much as you think I do. But the reality is...
I hear it. Yeah. Every time you're hanging out with one of your girlfriends, you fucking say something like that.
And they're all my friends.
I know.
You know,
Dude, I know that they accept it. To me, it's just, how did that comfort level come? And even it's like, I wanted to open and see how you answered,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, it's just like, it's a combination of your confidence.
Right.
It's a combination of your confidence, and if you get to know you, you know, because we talked about Adriana earlier.
Yeah.
And she's like, dude, I can't handle that, like how he talks.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, I can't handle it, but I know where his heart's at, so I just don't, I know it's not how I would think a stranger meant it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I know where your heart is usually at, and it's not offensive.
Right.
You know, you're cocky, you're fucking confident as fuck, but I don't think you mean it maliciously. So I was just kind of waiting to see how you answered it. And it's not necessarily them. It's not about them. It's just you. What made you comfortable with talking to them like that?
I guess it was just, I mean, maybe it's the environment that I'm constantly in, whether I'm a bartender or in a bar, which I'm there a lot. Or the reality that it's, in my opinion, the world that I live in is a different world than the world at large was 5, even 10 years ago. I don't find that... in my opinion, and it's very rarely come across this way to other women who tell me, I don't put them down, you know, because I'm not higher than them. I never feel that way, you know. The only time that I feel better than someone is if I feel like they're incredibly unintelligent. And I'm not saying they need to have a degree or they need to be knowledgeable, just the way that they come across as a human being, okay? Because there's, you know, educated, and then there's knowledge, right? And you don't have to be educated to be smart. You know, that's just what the world tells you. This is what you need to know in order to advance.
It's like street smarts versus book smart.
And I mean, we have come across a lot of people, male and female. I mean, I will call a guy a douche just as readily as I would call a girl a dumbass, you know? I don't particularly see a penis or a vagina as much as I see a unintelligent being. And likewise, if I'm ever being stupid, I would expect to be called out for the same thing. You know,
I can't wait.
Yeah, you can't wait. You've been waiting for a long time, though.
I've been waiting for so long. This motherfucker's always on point.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Faux show. Like, I think one of the things I learned recently in the last couple of years is, you know, 80% of our personality now derives from the first 8 years of our life. Your household is not your traditional household. You know, you have a great stepfather that's still in the picture despite not being with your mother anymore. Your mom is not locally here anymore. I'm sure she's watching, or she will watch. Irene, we love you. But that was a very unique experience for you. I'd love for you to touch on that a little bit. How growing up with a mom like you have and a stepfather that you have, how has that influenced you, and how challenging was that? Because it's not, and I'm going to let you tell the story, and I'm going to let you share what's up with that. But just tell people, first of all, what were you dealing with when it comes to your comes to your parents, and how do you deal with that now, given this current situation that you're in?
Yeah. Well, it's hard to condense 31 years into, you know, a small segment, but essentially, growing up in a gang-infested family with a mother who was a teenager can easily make you another stereotype.
Follow suit.
You know? And my mom wasn't about that life. She was not, you know, the smartest person, but she made it happen. And then 2 years later, she had another kid. And then a few years later, she had another kid. And then, you know, several years later, I'm the oldest of 6, right? So one thing growing up, and this is for anyone that ever calls me arrogant or cocky or whatever, this is her fault. She told me from day one, you are the greatest thing ever, and you can do whatever you want, you know? But you have to earn it. So it wasn't like I walked around blindly saying I was the shit. No, I said, let me make sure I'm the shit. Look around. Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm the shit. Okay, yeah, let's run with that. And then I had siblings. And it was a mixture of siblings, a mother who needed to be taken care of, and the world that we lived in that made it so that I didn't worry about myself. That wasn't even a concern. I don't remember the first 8 years of my life because, I mean, I could pinpoint certain moments, being abused and having alcohol everywhere, smoke-filled rooms and all. But then it sounds like a pity party,
But it's not, though. It's not.
Yeah.
And you can't think of it that way. It's factual. The brain works how it works, and we absorb, visual, audio. We absorb it from the get-go. That's why they even tell parents, put some music next to your stomach because that influences the kid's brain.
Yeah.
So you can't dismiss that.
I put
you just
Eminem
can't.
on my
I'm sure your mom
belly. Yeah.
did not do that. I'm sure your mom did not play Eminem. I don't think he was even
No,
anything
he wasn't.
at that point. But that's fact. So
no,
you
it
can't
is. It
dismiss
is.
that.
And I don't deny that.
Whether you remember or not doesn't matter.
I feel like it is an integral part of who I am. However, I also looked at it as a moment in that particular. For instance, one moment I was, my mom asked me to lay in bed with her. I was a kid, really young, and my stepdad at the time, or the guy that she was with, came home drunk and did not like that I was in bed. It made no sense to me, but it made sense to him. Picked me up, threw me across the room, bounced into a recliner, fell down, and my number one concern were my sisters in the other room. Ran over there, took care of them while my mom was either getting beat or beating him up or whatever. That was my concern. That was it. It had nothing to do with me. It was just them. And I mean, for as long as I could remember, being the oldest of 6, that's always been the concern. That's it. So, and as I got older, I became more selfish and more like, what am I doing for myself? What am I fixing for myself? But even that came with the reality that the only reason why I'm trying to make me the best me is because I got 5 little ones looking up to me and saying, how's he doing? And that's a lot of pressure. I mean, as far as my stepdad goes, he was the integral part of everything that defines me as a man in a relationship. This dude would, I would look at my mom do something stupid or wrong or just didn't work out, or I would never let that happen in a relationship, anything like that. I would look at it and I'd be like, what the fuck? And I'd sit there and I'd talk to her, I'd yell at her, I'd be mad. And then the whole conversation would happen. I'd go to my room, and Fernando, my stepdad, would come into the room, and he'd say, look, I know where you're coming from. I appreciate where you're coming from, but that is not your wife. That's your mother. Don't ever talk to her like that again. That's my problem. Anything you feel towards her, you need to feel it as a mom.
I can't even see Fernando talking like that. That's such a sweetheart.
No, that's exactly what he said, and that shit never left. Anytime I got mad at my mom for like, why were you out tonight? Like, why didn't you come home? Why are you home at 1 o'clock? Like, what the fuck? You're married, blah, blah, blah. And he would be like, this isn't your fight. This is my wife. That's not your wife. You're not married to her. That's your mom. You talk to her like you talk to a mom. That's it. And it blew my mind every time. Like, damn, this nigga's like, first, I used to think it was stupid. Like, you're an idiot, But then I realized, no, like, his idea of the marriage is no matter what, that's his issue. That's what
he was ride or die.
Yeah, for sure, ride or die. And it stuck with me big time. And he's
fast forward now, where it doesn't seem like they're together anymore.
No, I mean,
how has that affected you?
The whole ride or die thing ended up dying. It was not. It was.
Everybody has their fucking.
It wasn't like one particular limit. It was a like
cumulative.
Yeah, and it was just. I think at one point it just got to the minute where like my mom was a little bit just lost. She got hurt a lot. She had certain things that like bothered her, and no one was addressing them. Mm-hmm. Whether it be her kids or her husband, no one was addressing what bothered her. No one was saying, oh, like, well, how do you feel? Or what's going on with you? They were simply saying...
Like typical moms, they get ignored.
Yeah, what do you...
They're the ones that are taking care of everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, you look at 31 years of life, like, this woman, like, she did it all. The reason why I am the way I am is because of her. So whether you hate it or not...
Thanks a lot, Irene.
Job well done.
Yeah. So Fernando established the whole, like, relationship aspect of a person, but my mom did everything else. How to be as a youth in a gang infested area, how to focus on yourself, because once she had me, her as a person disappeared. She didn't exist anymore. It was all me. And then when she had another kid, it was that person too. And then all the kids.
Yeah.
But no matter what, I mean, I'm the oldest, and I learned this long ago. I'm spoiled. I get whatever I want. You know, in terms of
Me
like
too.
emotion, you know,
Yeah.
like I can't ask my mom for a car, like it's not gonna happen. But I could be like, you know, Mom, I really need to talk, or you know, or Mom, can you, like when I think I told you the story about my bike getting stolen, where I went to a wrestling show at the Staples Center. I rode my bike to the Metro Center. I locked my bike up. My mom told me, "Don't take your bike; it's gonna get stolen." My bike got stolen. I came back at like 11:30.
Fucking parents, they know
Bike
everything.
was gone. I called my mom. I said, "Can you pick me up?" She said, "Why?" I said, "My bike was stolen." And she said, "Wow, I fucking told you." Blah blah blah. Hung up. She took forever, like 40 minutes, and I'm like, "You live down the street, right?" She pulls up in our white Expedition. I think it was an Expedition, and my bike is in the back.
Oh!
Did my mom? Hold on, wait. It gets better. Hold on, wait.
That's dope.
I'm like, did my mom just steal my fucking bike? But then my sibling is in the car, and they look scared as shit. They're like, I'm like, what happened? My mom's like, I got your fucking bike back. And she's still mad. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I was driving down the street, driving down Rosecrans. I saw a dude at a payphone. He was on your bike. I pulled up, and I said, hey, that's my fucking bike. And the guy, like, sped off into the Food for Less parking lot. She chased him into the Food for Less parking lot, backed the car up into a tree, chased him next door to a hotel, where he ran up the steps and left the bike right there. Instead of just grabbing the bike and leaving, she went to the bottom and started cussing him out, wanting to fight him, all while my siblings in the car, like, scared as shit. Like, I've never seen mom like this.
Irene's a gangster.
Damn.
Irene's a
Got my
gangster.
bike, put it in the car, came to pick me up, and she said, don't ever fucking do that shit again. She stole my bike back, right? And I mean, that if there's ever a story to encompass what my mother is, that's her. No matter what, no
Ride
matter
or die,
how many
baby.
things she's gonna have my back. I mean, I can fucking destroy half the world like Thanos, and she'd be like, well, they probably deserved it. Like,
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
You better have seen it by now. She's been out for a month by the time you see this shit.
But like, I mean, even though she's not like, you know, home, there's a reality that she's not ever going to leave. Like, I got her right here. And in terms of the entire family, if there's ever one person that's gonna assure that she's like still there, it's gonna be me.
It's baby
You know?
Tony.
Yeah, and
Baby
it's I have no shame in saying that. And regardless of what she's going through right now or how hard it might be, the woman is the strongest woman I know. I mean, I've seen her go through some bullshit. So there's not gonna be a breaking point. She's gonna get through it, and I'm gonna be there when she's done. You know.
So the way, again, going back to, you know, I'm obsessed with the brain. Given that was your example, how does that affect your relationships now? You know, I know that, you know, we were talking about earlier, like, you're going through something now.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. I don't know the significance of it, but you recently went through a breakup.
Yeah.
Do you look for someone that has that kind of ride or die quality to them? Do you look for some of those attributes? I know I do. And I don't, like, when I start dating someone, I don't necessarily, okay, how many of my mom's skills does she have? I don't do that shit. But I just realized that as I'm dating, I'm like, man, I wish you were cleaner. I wish you were this. I wish you were that. And most of the times, what I'm wishing for is like shit I grew up around, like things that made me comfortable, that made my life nicer, more pleasant. Do you experience some of that? How has this breakup affected you? And, you know, touch on that shit.
Unfortunately, and I say this because I feel like I should feel worse, but it hasn't affected me as much as I thought it would.
Why do you think?
I think mainly because
you know.
I think mainly for a couple of reasons. One is because whenever I'm single, I just divert attention back to me. So it's like, okay, well, you know, back to where you were before. Like, you got to build yourself up a little bit more. You got to take care of yourself and do you. Not out of spite. Never out of spite. And not out of like, oh, I got to get her back or anything like that.
I hope not.
No, simply...
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't help you.
No, simply just growth. You know, the way I feel is like I got this bucket full of like attention, right? And I have to divide it amongst several things: bartending, writing, family, Sophia, and you know, at this
That's
point,
his sister.
Sophia's my sister. She's amazing.
His favorite
She's my
sibling.
favorite.
Take that, other siblings.
And everything they
They know.
Yeah, they know. They're not okay with it, but they know. And then figure out how much I could allot to each section. And there's some days, like you do your, what do you do at the top 5?
Oh, I do my
right.
3 5s.
Right, okay. And then there's some days where my top 1 is all bartending are all Sophia.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest struggles that I have as a person is finding out where to put all of this on any given day, you know? Because, like, for instance, today's a great example, okay? I wanted to prep everything for a meal prep that I have for a month. I wanted to buy all the alcohol. I wanted to be here early, and I diverted attention to something else, and I was like 20 minutes late here. To nobody else that doesn't
Stop
matter.
watching you porn.
First of all,
That's at least 10 to 20 minutes.
I watch Pornhub, and I also have a subscription to Brazzers, so I don't need you.
Yeah,
porn.
I don't like that high end like you. I don't like that high end porn shit.
If I'm gonna watch porn,
I
it's
don't
gonna
like
be
nice
fucking
lighting and all that
HD.
shit. I want it to look like that might be real. Like maybe she didn't know the camera was there.
Just watch two people fucking in a dark cave.
4K or yeah.
4K proper lighting, makeup artist. You guys are bougie as fuck.
I'm sorry, okay? I've lived a life, all right? I need, I've grown numb to the webcam, okay? No, so dividing that attention is one of my consistently problematic issues, right? So because of that, it gets a little bit harder sometimes to give my all to certain things. But while being single, I have more. I have a significant amount more. So I'm able to divide that amongst certain things, which is why I was able to write a poem a day for a month. Which is why I'm able to.
Which I found very interesting. She was always kind of like the only person commenting.
Realistically speaking, this girl
weird.
she's not out of my life, and
okay.
I'm weird, I guess. Or maybe I'm not weird. Maybe this is how it should be.
Give it.
Right? But I have no
Bet
problem.
you there's a lot of people like you.
If this girl texts me, I'm not gonna not reply. I have no ill will other than the reality of the situation. The emotion is still there, and as long as I feel like I'm not hurting myself in the process, I have no problem with talking to someone or replying to someone or saying hi, hugging, meeting, whatever. I don't. Yeah, well, because
you take it like that, you get
how it ended.
You get all butthurt, like don't talk to me no more. You're dead.
Well, it depends how it ended.
One of my biggest
then.
One of my biggest flaws and attributes is my immense amount of apathy towards almost everything. I don't care. All right.
I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about that because you say that all the time. You speak like that. Is that for real? Like for real?
Are
Is that
you really dead
yeah?
Because I tried to get emotional with you, and you're just like, I'm not. No.
It's not that
I don't cry. I don't know.
Unless Batman dies, I'm not crying.
You know what? I cried during the Avengers. I cried during My Girl. I cry.
Which part of the Avengers?
Yeah, which part?
I'm not gonna spoil it.
When he threw his daughter off.
Yeah.
No. Mr. Stark.
Oh.
I don't want to go. That was it. I was done.
Was kind of fun.
Yeah.
that was
No, but it's a matter of, again, it's dividing your attention into certain things and giving it that amount of value. It's not that I'm dead inside.
Who said that?
Yeah, I feel a lot of emotions. I really do. I mean, if
This is why I don't buy it, dude, because he's a fucking heartfelt poet. Ain't no way you can be a poet and not give a shit about shit.
It's not that I don't give a shit. It's that I don't.
You know what to give a shit about.
It's a perceived value. Okay.
Yeah.
Josh,
exactly.
if you called me at 4 a.m. and said I'm stranded here, I wouldn't even ask why. I'd go pick you up, and that would be it. Okay.
Aww.
That's it. Okay. That's emotion, and that's me caring. However. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. However.
Why didn't you call me? I would have picked you up.
Like if there's a person at the bar who's acting a fool, I don't care about you. Get out.
I don't care about him.
You know,
either.
and there's certain, and it's no one's definition other than my own, and it's not always right. It's not. There's certain levels where I'm like, oh, well, that was wrong. You probably should have put more emotion into that. You probably should have cared. You know, but by and large, it's my own definition. It's my own life, and I live it every day. I'm the one doing this. I'm driving the train. You know, I have full control. And no one can tell me, and this is my mom's fault again, no one can tell me that I'm doing right or wrong, you know, except for the people that I allow to tell me that I'm doing right or wrong.
And that's the way it should be.
You know?
That's the way it should be. You
and
control.
That's why people feel like I don't care about certain things, because like I don't. If I go out and someone spills a drink on me and I'm like, well, that sucks, you know? Damn it. Whatever. Whereas someone else will be like, what the fuck? Road rage is another great example. I don't get mad. Like you must be in a rush. Go ahead. I don't.
Go ahead, bro.
Fuck.
Really, and turning the other way now, especially since I work at a bar and I deal with the other.
Yeah.
You deal with
My
the dumb
patience
fucks.
Is so gone right now.
Yes, patience.
Yeah, you need
is
patience, man. You need patience. Well, look, man, this has been awesome. Thank you for sharing your truth and who you are, and you know, we look forward to the next episode. Well, boy, yeah, that's
thank you.
Salud, man.
Cheers.
Salud. We're not skipping
you,
Josh.
Josh. You're next.
Josh is gonna be the funnest one. We're gonna get super deep, super real. Thank you guys for joining us. Speakeasy Podcast. Tony Acero. Follow him. You guys, he's a poet for hire. You guys need wedding invitations with poetry. He's got you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back.